conservatives, day in and day out. Most of them don't know 10% of what's being done to them. Even if they did, they're too gutless to do anything about it. So maybe you're okay with all that. You don't have any outrageous ambitions anymore, and you're fine with your kids at least getting some shot at college rather than none at all. And who cares if they only grow up to mediocrity like yourself? At least America still has the room to work and earn a living and own your own house. Does it? Look at your personal wealth now after the engineered housing bubble. Are you even half as wealthy as you were before? Is your house even worth what you owe on it? For many of you, the answer must be no. Do you stop to ever try and understand why? Because it was never real. Now, some instinctually believe that the housing boom and crash was simply some economic cycle with no malice or fraud involved. No one to blame but the animal spirits. But that is not true. Here, too, the ruling class decided that it would profit on your misery and losses. You had no say on the matter. There was a conscious decision by the elites to begin this boom. There was a conscious decision by elites to flood the market with credit like a drug dealer handing out free product. There was a conscious decision by elites to falsely rate this debt as safe and secure. There was a conscious decision by elites to package and sell this fraudulent debt to naive foreigners and American pensions to unload it off their backs. So you had all these parasites engaging in the biggest scam in American history. And it worked till it didn't work. Because housing prices became so overinflated that people simply couldn't afford to buy them, no matter what the rate on the loan. You could have given people 0% loans and they couldn't afford houses that were overvalued by 3 or 4 times. Obviously, the crash came next. And then the few people who actually took some time to read or watch an informative piece on what had just happened realized that the biggest wealth transfer had occurred in American history. A few $1 trillion from Americans and worldwide had just been transferred into big bank pockets. That translated into $100 million plus salaries for all the presidents and VPs of the Wall Street firms. 6-figure and 7-figure salaries for all the lower-level financial officers, all their mega mansions, their Rolls Royces, their Gulfstream jets, their vacation homes, their $1-million weddings and parties, and last but not least, the hundreds of millions of dollars to buy the political favors to bail them out when they got caught flat-footed at the end. You see, even the most vicious, planning parasite gets caught by their own greed in the end. And that's why your government came riding to the rescue when these parasites, overstuffed with your blood and money, cried for help. So obviously they got their money out of you again. Some $800 billion. You remember that bank bailout, Mr. Tea Party Patriot? And now, thanks to the big recession engineered by a parasitic class in banking and real estate, you're out of a job or haven't had a decent increase in wages in years. Your house loan is upside down, and the culprit's got another $1 trillion or so of American money in bailouts. Of course, you're just a private industry working sap, so you can fall by the wayside without any elite batting an eye or shedding a tear. But the public workers are a whole different ballgame. They are sacred. They are better than you. They are the pets of the ruling class. And like any pet, they get treated better than real people. The public sector workers have seen the biggest gains in salary and total compensation during the last 20 years, including through this recession. You see, the civil serpent has become your master. They stand above you in the pecking order under the ruling class and other private elites. In fact, given the preferences given to minorities, illegals, and the poor, the white private working class is the lowest rung on the ladder in today's America. We now have millionaire cops, firemen, and civil administrators who retire on fat 90% pensions at 50. Yes, these high school rejects are now routinely paid more than engineers and scientists across this nation. And it's not because no one will do the job at one-third the pay. There are millions who would work as police and firemen for a sane wage. But the fact is, these groups have ingrained themselves as some heroic figures in modern American society. Their unions wield enormous clout because we can't shortchange the police and firemen. They're heroes, damn it. Any politician with integrity to call this nonsense for what it is will be skewered by the cult of worship by dumbass Americans for their heroes. But when you're unemployed, your house is repossessed, and you can't afford your kids' education, maybe some of you patriots and teabaggers will feel a stir of anger and some blood boiling. Of course, I can go on. The imported foreign workers driving wages down while putting Americans out of work, as in Microsoft. Exporting jobs around this planet, as in GM. All government sanctioned. Corporate fraud, negligence, environmental destruction. The list is endless of the harm being done to the American worker by its own government and ruling class. Of course, I can go on. The imported foreign workers driving wages down while putting Americans out of work, as in Microsoft, or exporting jobs, as in GM. All government sanctioned. Corporate fraud, negligence, environmental destruction. The list is endless of the harm being done to the American worker by its own government and ruling class. But what has been said ought to be enough to show you that you do not control any aspect of this nation or its governance. None of it. Nobody who rules this country gives a shit about what you think or want, except how to fool you into voting for them one more time or not to vote at all. That's it. You're just a milk cow. They keep you pointed in your pen with the wall painted like a nice green field with trees and sunshine. And if any of you milk cows turn around to see what's really going on, they just point you right back at the wall and tell you to quit being silly. I would really like to know when some of you are finally going to actually get mad at a government that has so thoroughly screwed up your lives and aspirations. Maybe you are mad, but you're too much of a coward to do anything about it, or to even join up with a group that would do anything about it. Maybe you're stupid enough to still think that anti-government is anti-American. Maybe. When any of you see the end coming and don't like it, come on over and join up with the Freemen.